Hello everybody, Stefan Molyneux from Freedom Main Radio. Hope you're doing well. Herein, we have a list of liberal hypocrisies. Liberals argue that Christians are intolerable bigots, but people from other religions, say perhaps where there's a fair amount of sand and beheadings, just aren't. When white men don't rape, it's evidence of white rape culture, you see. When immigrants rape, what? What, that doesn't happen? What are you talking about? Why are we talking about theoretical things that don't happen? You might as well talk about Klingon molestation. Actually, would you mind talking about Klingon molestation? It's kind of hot. Racist. Why would we be talking about unicorns, things that don't exist, things that have no relevance, and shiny, shiny, shiny? Liberals argue that the police are brutal and racist and corrupt pigs, yet we should concentrate all the guns in the hands of the police and disarm the citizenry. You see, you don't need a gun because you can always just call the police. Hello? Hello? Yeah, there's an unarmed person doing no harm in my neighborhood. Could you guys come down and just pop him a few? Liberals believe that guns in the hands of private individuals are evil, but guns under the control of politicians, and only politicians, are somehow virtuous. Okay, so the way it works is you hate guns, but you need guns for the police to have them in order to take guns from the people because guns are bad unless the police have them, in which case guns are great. Spin the barrel and play Russian roulette with liberal arguments to your brain. Liberals claim that they hate the 1%, you know, the super rich. Well, almost all liberals are actually in the 1% on a global scale. They are in the top middle class and above people in the world. You are in the top 1%. Oh, also, liberals say that the 1% use the power of the state to get stuff for free. Meanwhile, most liberals want to vote for Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton in order to get something for free. College debt, tuition forgiveness, free college tuition, free other stuff. You see, because the 1% use political power to get stuff for themselves for free at the expense of everyone else. Look in the mirror, liberals, you are the 1%, you're doing exactly the same thing. Ain't it a bitch when you think you're taking someone else down, turns out you're just banging your own head against a mirror? Oh, I hate that. Donk, donk, donk. Oh, it still hurts less than actually thinking. I want college for free. Statistics are hard. I'd rather have a tantrum. Liberals argue that women are equal to men, yet they need massive government programs to compete with men. Also, see blacks. Liberals believe that television commercials program your children. I really, really want to procreate with SpongeBob SquarePants. 12 years of relentless government indoctrination in public schools, that's just an education. I gotta tell you, I want to have sex with SpongeBob SquarePants. Oh, Sponge, did you use the sponge? I'm not alone in that, right? Tradition, you see, according to liberals, is stifling and counterproductive and doesn't let you get your groove on. But government teachers should have summers off because approximately 1,000 years ago, children were needed on farms. Well, let's keep that tradition alive because it helps us get votes. Liberals hate and fear big corporations, yet spend the majority of their lives in Starbucks complaining on Facebook. See, there's this really cute girl behind the counter, and I'm hoping to liberate her from her oppression and her panties and her current STD-free status, you see. Liberals believe that diversity is a great strength, but have you ever imagined or heard the following speech? Well, you see, we've got a lot of liberal bias here, and I just feel like we're getting kind of one-sided. Let's actively go out and recruit a bunch of conservatives. Let's go talk to Tom Sowell or other people who are going to give us kind of a different perspective on this, because I just kind of feel we're in a bit of an echo chamber here at the moment. We've got to go branch out, get some more people, get some different people. Oh my God, I thought this was going to be a tea party with Quentin Crisp. It turns out that there are some patriots here. Oh, quick, make me a brown paper bag out of the New York Times. I've got to suck in some liberal juice. See, liberals genuinely expect hundreds of millions of European Christians to get along with millions of Muslims a lot more easily than any liberal can ever get along with a Republican or a conservative. Yeah, but see, the problem is it's really tough for me as a liberal to compete with a Republican or a conservative, you see, because conservatives are stronger because they've been swimming against the general current of the media and academia in their society. Can you imagine, like a Republican who's graduated with a PhD in a generally liberal universe of academia? He's going to be so strong, he's going to be really strong. I'm sorry, I'm not very good with metaphors. I do like to cry, though. How on earth are the poor going to get help? I know, government guns, debt, fiat currency, that's going to work out beautifully. If a black Democrat tries to gain political power, he's breaking new ground and ripping down the prejudices of society. If you're a black conservative and you're trying to gain political power while you're just an appeasing Uncle Tom who's apologizing for slavery. When women are supported by unsustainable, coercive, and predatory government programs, that's evidence of a caring society to the liberal, shall we say, brain, for want of a better word. When women are supported by the ones they love, well, that's evidence of a vicious patriarchy. You know, he only did the dishes because he wants to have sex with you. Actually, ladies, that is true. He did only do the dishes because he wants to have sex with you. Also, when he doesn't do the dishes, he wants to have sex with you. Also, when there are no dishes, he wants to have sex with you. Also, when you have a pulse, he wants to have sex with you. Or within a few minutes of you not having a pulse. Liberals are anti-sexist, but they talk about a patriarchy run by men, all men apparently, and that encompasses all of society. Hey man, you can't accuse us of bigotry because we're using the word structure, and that's different. Strike one for crazy lefties! Remember, insults are the same as intellectual rigor, racist. All Republican government programs are dismal failures, but all liberal programs are staggering successes. I mean, don't you get it, man? Like the war on drugs is just a complete mess and a failure, and it's never gonna work. But gun control is gonna totally work. Like American foreign policy is an unmitigated disaster, man. Actually, that's true. But I think with just, say, 50 or 60 trillion more dollars, we can totally win the war on poverty. Liberals by K give out t-shirts from capitalist establishments like Hot Topic because nothing spells out your commitment to defending the rights of the proletariat like buying the blood-soaked, profit-leveled visage of a man who spent his time shooting the proletariat and their children. Actually, they seem to have died from lead poisoning. And I still think you're exploiting the worms who are feeding on your body. A woman's body is her property, but a man's wallet belongs to everyone. Trying to make my way against liberal headwind of irrationality. Can't. Liberals believe that morality is relative and subjective. Any way the wind blows. Hey man, don't put your values on me, man. Yet conservatives are universally and totally evil. See, everything's relative, man, but the moment you pass through the doors of a church, boom! Total evil. Liberals believe that the evils committed by the Soviets resulted from a failed application of Marxist theories. Yet modern economies are not the result of a failure or refusal to apply capitalist theories. Recessions, depressions, and wars are all blamed on capitalism, yet worldwide staggering poverty, starvation, bloodshed, oppression, and foreign meddling are not the fault of communist and socialist ideas. Liberals are anti-war and pro-government, even though governments killed over 250 million people in the 20th century alone. 6 times more than those who died on actual battlefields where you might even have a fighting chance. Liberals argue that corporations you can just choose to ignore, no Starbucks, I'm not coming in, are infinitely powerful. Yet governments you cannot possibly refuse are not. Objectively, governments are far more dangerous than war, and are usually the ones who start wars, yet liberals push for bigger and bigger governments. Liberals argue that you've got to have sympathy on the effects of childhood on creating criminals, but they have no sympathy for any Republican or conservative who was raised as a Republican or a conservative. Liberals argue that killing an innocent fetus in the womb is fine, yet killing convicted mass murderers, totally evil. Liberals demand equality of the sexes, but when Republicans treat women as equals, somehow they're oppressing them. In other words, when men treat women the same way they treat other men, they're being insensitive. Donald Trump has really funny hair. That's right, man. He really totally does. I don't like Carly Fiorina's face. Hey, man, that's not funny, you know. Women are really sensitive about that stuff. Inconsistency Ray is melting me. I mean, I know that there are no differences between men and women, but that's one. When liberals create permanent dependence on government programs, they're being compassionate towards the poor. However, when Republicans create jobs and actually hire the poor, they're actually exploiting them. How dare you create jobs for the poor and drive up their wages when we've got perfectly good, poor-destroying programs like the minimum wage, man? I really can't compete with Republicans who create jobs because, you see, tantrums and screaming and whining doesn't actually create jobs. Well, of course, except in academia and the media. Liberals really want more women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields, but liberals themselves generally have women's studies and sociology degrees. But even the word STEM, man, doesn't it just sound like the base of a penis? Actually, the base of my penis is known as the Eiffel Tower. My anaconda don't! That's right, it's bigger than the Eiffel Tower. Because if you live in New York and I do a 3D video on YouTube and my penis shows up, you're now invading Mexico. My dick is so big it puts Donald Trump on hold. Nobody, of course, mentions the fact that men are actively discriminated against in STEM fields because that goes against the narrative. And that's just like watching The Wizard of Oz backwards without being stoned. You don't go against the narrative when you're sober. I mean, theoretically, I haven't been sober since high school. Liberals are pro-gay and yet regularly call conservatives closet homosexuals as an insult. While, of course, liberals are actually closet Marxists themselves, also known as hammer and sickle totalitarian shitlords. Liberals believe that every single gender difference is cultural and it relies entirely upon the environment. There are no innate differences between the genders. Except for homosexuality, that has nothing to do with environment. Good job, Tennessee Williams' mother, you're off the hook! Because gender is entirely a social construct. Only if you're a man attracted to a woman or a woman attracted to a man. Cisgender scum. If you are a man attracted to a man or a woman attracted to a woman, it has nothing to do with a social construct. It's completely innate and biological. Get it? Straight sexual preferences, entirely a social construct. Homosexual sexual preferences, entirely genetic. Make sense? In the 1950s, Joseph McCarthy, under McCarthyism, persecuted his political opposition. Because of McCarthyism, man, my grandfather had to, leave Hollywood and go to France, where he had to hang out with, Gertrude Stein, who was pretty heavy and often smelt of fluoride. I don't know why. Plus, he had to repeatedly deal with intense condescension from French waiters who always deal with you as if they're peeing on you from a great height. Plus, he had to pay French waiters to actually pee on him from a great height. It was just something he was into. I can't explain it either. So Joseph McCarthy persecuted, apparently, his political opponents. Joseph Stalin and Mao Zedong, apparently, as loving freedom lovers of the leftist persuasion, did not persecute anyone. Solzhenitsyn? Ain't nobody got time to pronounce that. I'm just going to call him Solzhenitsyn. Gulag Archipelago? Are you kidding me? You got free food, you got free housing, you got free healthcare. It's a socialist paradise. What were they complaining about? I don't know, being frozen and dying while stuck to a pole at work? And by pole, I mean Polish person. When liberals express dissatisfaction with the status quo, it's free speech. When conservatives express dissatisfaction with the status quo, hate speech! Hate speech! Which promotes cultural segregation and partisanship and hatred and bigotry. I do actually have some moral and practical reservations about the long-term sustainability and value of the welfare state. You just hate the poor. You just want to eat the poor, don't you? Liberals, leftists, they claim to care for the poor and disadvantaged, but they actually give less money to charity than conservatives. The top 17 states that gave the most to charities all supported Mitt Romney in the 2012 US presidential election. Perhaps they just liked his magic underpants. Liberals claim to be open-minded, yet steadfastly refuse to examine any of the reason and evidence behind conservative arguments. You know, we really do have some important data behind these arguments. Data is racist! You can't make me listen! It's wrong to even be in the same room with you! Did you exhale? Did I inhale? Am I gonna get those cooties? Poorer conservatives are generally more generous than wealthy liberals. So basically, the fear of the liberal when it comes to helping the poor is that they're actually terrified the whole world is like them. Liberals believe that women should be free to do whatever they want with their lives, except for being mothers and housewives, because that's oppression. What do you mean you had children? Don't you know there's free abortion? Also, check eBay. You might even be able to make some money from the body parts. Liberals praise and sanctify nature and all of its products, yet vilify human beings who are also products of nature. Cities are hateful crypts of anti-nature disasterville. You do know that beavers build dams, right? Yeah, but that's just beaver privilege. Beaver privilege? Are you talking about feminism? Just wait, man, we'll get there. Basically, when you're looking at a meadow full of beautiful animals and insects and flowers, you're looking at a whole bunch of things trying to eat and not get eaten and have sex with anything that looks remotely like them. Another reason why I've been known to bang moldy ping pong balls and giant speckled ostrich eggs. Competition in nature, beautiful. However, free market competition, where no one does in fact get eaten is really, really terrible. If a leftist or liberal woman achieves power, she is to be celebrated. Yet if a conservative woman somehow achieves power, success, and fame, she's either to be completely ignored or vociferously and repetitively attacked. For instance, Ayn Rand, who was a Russian Jew who managed to master her non-native English language to the point where she wrote some of the most popular and successful novels throughout human history, completely ignored or vociferously attacked. You can also look at Ann Coulter, Michelle Malkin, Michelle Bachmann, Margaret Thatcher, and so on. But this is what Meryl Streep said about Margaret Thatcher, even after playing the woman. Well, I just didn't think I could take her very seriously because she has silly hair. Yeah, because we can really see Bernie Sanders posing for hair commercials anytime soon.
Don't be a science denier. The debate is settled.
There's a scientific consensus, and it doesn't include your superstitious brainstem. Liberals accept that evolution is true. Absolutely, completely, and totally true. Evolution, of course, is the capacity and drive for organisms to adapt to differing local environments and circumstances. Evolution is true. Now, human beings split off 50 to 100,000 years ago from each other and went to wildly different locales. The Siberia, so cold, to the tropics, and yet, of course, they reject the idea that these wildly different environments had any factor or any capacity to cause human beings to evolve differently. Okay, so when brown bears go north to the Arctic and they live among snow, there should be no difference in their fur. Like, it should all stay brown. Because if they get white fur, that's white fur privilege. That's hideous, that's disgusting. It's bearism, it's furrism, it's... I don't know, my brain is hurting, can I get a latte? So liberals accept that there's evolution that tailors organisms to different environments, but they reject that this has any effect on human beings whatsoever. Human beings and their brains could not have evolved differently due to various environmental pressures. And then they say that conservatives are somehow anti-science. What do you mean you're skeptical about global warming? Are you kidding me, man? How could you be? So what if all the models have been wrong for about 20 years? So what if there's been very little, if any, recorded growth in temperature? So what if the data is ignored and selective? It doesn't matter. The consensus is in. What if the consensus is a lie? It doesn't matter. Wait, you think that evolution produces different outcomes based upon different environments? Are you kidding me? Despite the fact that most men are trained and raised by women, according to liberals, women are mere passive victims of the patriarchy. Despite the fact that boys are raised generally with moms around and other single moms around, and then they go to daycare where they have female daycare teachers, and then they go to primary school and they probably don't even see a man anywhere in the school vicinity until they get to high school. It's an entire forest of vaginas, but apparently the penises make it through somehow and program them. Bad job, vaginas, keep the penises at bay. Link labias, come on! Don't bathe through bit, the men will back off. All beliefs are environmental and culturally and socially determined. But men are inherently patriarchal, even though they're generally raised by women. White males are endless oppressors. However, of course, the reality is you can pretty much freely criticize and vilify them in their own societies. Wait, I have white privilege? Really? That means everyone can call me like a racist and a sexist and a homophobe and an oppressor and a patriarch? That's my privilege? I don't think that's what the word privilege means, man. Okay, I'll tell you what. Can I trade in my white privilege so that I don't get called the racist, the sexist, the homophobe, the patriarch, the evil, the oppressor, the what? Can I turn that in? Can I turn it? What? Oh, you need me. Okay. So this is like sin in Catholicism. Okay. Oh, yeah, I get it. Oh, it only works if I continue to believe it? But you just told me it's not true, but you need it for... Okay. This is my next debate move with you. A woman assaulted by a man is a victim of domestic abuse. But a man assaulted by a woman... What? What? Why are we talking about theoreticals? That never happens. You might as well ask me to ride a unicorn. Leftists promote lesbian, gay, bisexual rights, yet support, let's just say, certain desert-based religions that are not very pro-homosexual coming into the West. This also could be expanded to include women's rights. They love women's rights, but like highly anti-women cultures coming into the West. Riddle me this, Batman. Giant invisible facepalm of death.